Hey, how you doing, friends? This is Tara from the future? Well, it's the future of the Tara you're gonna see in a couple seconds. Just want to pop in and say, just sorry in general, because it's getting a bit messy with the schedule. You're seeing this video Monday, and then you're seeing the Q&A video that's supposed to be on Monday. You're gonna see it Tuesday, and it's just difficult because it's hard to make videos when you have roommates, but it's changing. Starting July, I'll at least have my own place and I'll be able to make videos on my own. But yeah, right now it's a bit difficult. So I'm sorry if the schedule's a bit fucked up. I might just post the tutorials not as frequently as I thought at the beginning. Until July, at least. I'll let you go back to actual Tara from my past. She's gonna give you a proper intro for this video. Sorry again. Oh, okay, see you in a couple minutes. Welcome to Tara does some editing. That was fantastical. Hello! How you doing? We're here with the finally episode of tutorials where we're going to learn how to make some After Effects stuff on Sony Vegas. I hope you're pumped because I'm so fucking pumped. I've been saying I've been pumped. They're pumped, I'm pumped. I hope you're pumped. Yes! So pumped. Before we start anything, my Instagram, go check it out. I have tutorials on there on my Instagram TV because in case you didn't know, I did stop for a little while and then I kept going, but then I went on Instagram TV and I thought, why not? But I still did some Instagram tutorials. That being said, we're starting the series of remakes of After Effects edits. So my main goal, first of all, to start things, is I don't want to start saying that After Effects is not as better, Sony Vegas is better, or I'm not saying something is better than something else. My goal with this whole series is to make you more comfortable with the program that you have for editing, because as I said, there's nothing better than something else. What I think the big difference is between After Effects and Sony Vegas is that After Effects, the effects are pretty much done for you. That's why it's called After Effects, it's effect stuff. Sony Vegas Pro, I feel it's more for regular, more simple editing, and that's why you have to download a bit more plugins and to make the basic stuff, but you can still do it yourself, and that's what I want to show you with the series. Once every video appearance, that's Terry. One day there's gonna be a jingle for that. I can't wait. So my one rule for remakes when I'm gonna be doing them is I'm not gonna use the same footage because I know that my perfectionist ass is gonna try to make frame by frame perfect. And that's gonna be frustrating as hell. And because I don't wanna have any copyright problems, you're going to hear no audio pretty much. If it is something that you would like to learn separately, I have some Instagram TV tutorials for that. I'll put it somewhere there and the link is going to be in the description if you want that specific tutorial on sound effects. There's a folder with all of my sound effects in it. So I'm not going to be remaking the audios, despite I will be going through it very quickly. I did a couple notes, so I'll tell you what I can hear from the audio that people make. But we're not going to be remaking the audios because I don't want any copyright problems, bruh. I've been having problems with YouTube for like years, so no thanks. Let's move on to the person we're going to be focusing on today. We're going to be doing mldniqhts. I totally said that wrong. It's Alondra! So I'll show you a couple of things that Alondra is editing. Star Wars related stuff. I see when it comes to Star Wars, as I said, Natalie Portman, Hayden Christensen. There's a lot of Raylo, so you're a fan of Raylo, you go give it a follow. Ooh! I think her techniques are great. When you'll go through her edits, you're gonna pretty much realize that when it comes to her footage, it's not packed with overlay. So there's not a lot of things you're gonna be seeing on top of each other like often. So it's a simple, elegant kind of style, and I'm loving it. I mean, her editing style is so good that she could literally be editing whatever she wants, which I would recommend. You do whatever you want, and with that style, everybody's gonna like ya. When I'm looking at the edits that she's making, especially, and I like that because I see that in a lot of After Effects editors when they're going, I'm gonna call it the simple way, which is more of a, you know, simple style of editing, which is still freaking amazing. They focus on the connection with what you're seeing and what you're hearing. So the audio is very much connected to the footage that they're gonna be choosing, and I'm loving it because it focuses so that you don't have to figure out what you're gonna do next. It just kind of flows together with what you hear. So she's gonna hear the audio and kind of tie in what they say or the beats that she hears to then add the footage or the transition, which is great. We're gonna see that. The Twixtor use is absolutely gorgeous, so I got nothing to say about that. And we're even gonna go through it a little bit today. So in the edit we're remaking, there's a little bit of that. Every time we're gonna be talking about someone, I want to show you my favorite edit of theirs. But you might notice that the audio is not the same because, again, I'm gonna say it again, I don't want to have any copyright problems, so I wasn't gonna start putting like Justin Bieber and yeah, so you might see a bit of a difference, but I'm just saying, enjoy.
Blow that piece of junk out of the sky!
Picture perfect, you don't need no filter. Gorgeous, make 'em drop dead, you're a killer. Shower you with all my attention. Yeah, these are my only intention. Picture perfect, you don't need no filter. Gorgeous, make 'em drop dead, you're a killer. Shower you with all my attention. Yeah, these are my only intention.
I mean, wow. Wasn't that? I'm talking about the edit, of course, because my voice is horrible. Ha 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 ha. I mean, don't get me wrong, I had a lot of fun shooting that, but yeah, I don't want any copyright problems, but that was my favorite edit of yours. There's a lot of techniques in it, all right? Everything I pretty much mentioned that she does is in that edit. I was about to remake that one, but I ended up choosing something else because we talked about it and she figured that it was one of her edits that was packed with a bit more transitions and effects. So it feels like the right thing to be remaking. And without further ado, this was the long introduction of the episode and also, well, of the series more, and also of her episode. For the people that skip forward to see just the tutorial, hello. So today we're remaking this edit. And that's the one that she said was pretty much packed with more transition and effects, and in this case would be great for learning purposes. So I hope you're ready because this is gonna take a little bit, but it's gonna be educational as well. Let's do it!
Well, hello there, we are back. So with past Tara explaining you that I'm gonna go slightly loosely on what we're gonna be doing, I'll show you so far the clips that I have. I have a couple notes as well, so we're just gonna dive right into it. As past Tara said, we're not gonna be working on the audio as it is because, you know, copyright problems. You know, I did take a couple notes from it, which I'm gonna try to find. What I see Alondra do with her audio is pretty much the regular stuff you're gonna do if you want the perfect mix between hearing your audio, the music you picked, and also hearing the voiceover. So at the beginning of the edit, the audio is actually, and I'll show you the effect in a couple seconds. The effect usually that we're going to use when we're going to have an intro or an in-between part where there's going to be like a voiceover, so to smooth out what they're saying. So it's going to be smooth and enhance, and you're going to go towards the smooth part as much as possible. Usually going -5 would be perfect, and even maybe sometimes too much. You can go ahead and add a second one if you want to. And if you'd like to have more impact, you can even add reverb, which in this case, that's what's called the echo effect. So you have a couple of presets here that are very nice. My preferred pick would be Cathedral. If I'm gonna add echo to voiceover, that's usually the one I'll be using. And then when it comes to the audio, I hear a couple of sound effects, well, in the edit itself. So I'll show you a couple of the effects that I could hear. So this folder, in case you have been on my Instagram and followed my Instagram tutorial, you are gonna have that same folder in your stuff. If you don't, Past Hera said to go check out the description to check the link for that tutorial. And it is going to be there, so you'll be able to follow the direction to get that, the link to this folder. So I hear swoosh or whatever you want to call it. So I'm not sure exactly which one, but it's definitely in those. I have large variety of them in this folder. And I also hear like the beep of those walkie-talkies or whatever. So it's the communication beep that's right here. And you also have a couple of build-ups in that same folder if that's something you want. So for the audio itself, that's about it, I would say. Again, if you want a tutorial, let me know. So we're gonna jump right into the edit. What I really like about the edit that Alondra did is that it's separated in half and is connected at the beginning. So from what we could see, I have the edit saved up on top. From what we can see in her edit is that she talks, well, in this case, she makes Kylo talk about the connection that so by the way, sorry for the background noise. My cat is having a blast. She makes Kylo talk about his grandfather, so Anakin. And she's gonna move on to actually her edit with Kylo. She's gonna make it loop right here, which I've marked. So her edit is gonna start another time. Right about here is when she's gonna have kind of like a second intro like she had at the beginning, which that's where there's a smooth part as well, because it's not voiceover as it is, but it is sound effect from the actual piece of footage, which is the movie. And then she's gonna go right ahead and start the next section of her edit, and her outro is basically, again, the smooth, and I can see she put her signature, which is perfect. The intro is very nice. Again, as I said, the voiceover is very cool. It's a very simple intro, so it starts with a fade, and it basically ends with that same fade without having any sorts of movement. There's no slow motion in this case because she took the right footage of him, of them naturally zooming into him, and a long steady shot, so she doesn't have to use any sorts of slow motion or whatever that's gonna drag the edit in heaviness, because Twixtor is very heavy to render. So we already copied that here. I obviously had to use Twixtor. I have my Twixtor already set up. You can have your own settings. I would not recommend copying mine because my friend who's a pro at Twixtor has better settings, and those are not the ones I have. So use the ones you already have because they might be working better than mine. I just put enough for him to fit entirely during that frame. So from her edit, you can see that it fades in. So that's exactly what we did. I calculated around how many, but that's up to you. I see a slight fade, so kind of drastic with I don't know how you're gonna call that fade, but the one that takes a bit longer. For the intro, it's about that simple. We're gonna go right onto the first piece of footage that she has. So right here from the notes that I took, I see that there might be Twixter for the movement. So that means that there is a slight bit of Twixter for him raising his hand up and then him stopping. Because I do have movement in mine, I added some Twixter. So if I'm gonna have movement personally, what I'll do is I'm gonna have the regular 100 speed. So that's normal speed for Twixter. And a couple frames later, I'm gonna have something a bit slower. What I see from Alondra's first clip over here is that there's a quick 7-frame zoom out. There's about 14 frames in. There's a 9-frame zoom in. It goes straight to rotating to the left and zooming out. So that's what we're gonna try to do right now. Again, my perfectionist mind would not dare to use the same piece of footage as that because I'm gonna be completely crazy about trying to copy the same thing. So S-Blur More Curves are trustworthy companions, and we're already gonna go right ahead and put 2 of them. So with the first one, as I always call it, that's the slower transitional effect. So the zoom out, I see about 7 frames or 8 frames of movement to zoom out. Let's put it at 0.87 or something like that. We're gonna put it at fast. And then for the second one, again, you click on the clock to animate it. That one, we're gonna put it at 3 frames. And the first frame, the drastic zoom, that needs to be at maybe around 0.3. Let's try that one because I feel like it's much more zoomed in than what I thought. There you go. And there's even those lines of movements that appear that I feel are stronger. Yes, see the lines of movement? I feel like we're getting there, so that's definitely the right one. I think we're gonna be a bit more generous with the first S-Blur More Curves we had, and we're gonna go with 0.5. 14 frames in, I see around 9 frames of zoom in. When I'm just gonna zoom into a frame. I'm not gonna use the same effect as the 2 rows because I'm gonna have to separate my calculation and I don't wanna do that. So 14 frames in, that's about here. For the first one on the top row, we're gonna make a point, add keyframe. And then I see about 9 frames. There you go. We're gonna try to go 7.5, see if that works pretty. I want, technically speaking, to have 2 frames over here for boosting. So I'm gonna do right there, 2 frames before the last one. Make sure that both of your points are linear. I'm gonna add a keyframe right there. I'm gonna drag that one 2 frames before, after the first one, make it fast and see how that's gonna look like. Or maybe hers looks a bit less drastic. So you could even drag it out a little bit. See, instead of having it 2 frames, make it 3. And we're gonna try to put it at 8.3. So now that this is done, we're gonna have to make a zoom out and a rotation. So we're gonna keep the 2 ones that we already have. All we're gonna do is animate the rotation. So that's gonna add us a line. And you can go right ahead and do the same thing for the boosting one. So I would see the rotation and the zoom start at around, let's say the point where our little zoom finished. So where there's the 0.75 value of our little zoom, we're gonna click on slow, drag the rotation point as well towards the same and slow. So at the end of this, for the regular zoom, since we're already at 0.75, we're just gonna zoom this one out a little bit. We're gonna go right ahead and put it at like 9. So that means the transition for this one is 0.15. So that's pretty good for the smooth rotation line. The rotation I feel could be, yes, 15. So if we want to turn it to the left, it has to be a positive value. So we're gonna drag those 2 frames at the end. We just wanted to have a little peek at what it is. And then for our boosting, we're gonna go and take that rotation mark and put it 3 frames before the end. And we're gonna create a frame on the Z dist as well. There we go. And both of them are going to be at slow. I think it's probably 0.7. And then the rotation, so rotate down here and 45. So we're going to move on to the next one. So right here, the movement is following the first one. So we're going to continue the zoom. So zoom out and rotation. And that one is actually pretty simple. It just stops right there. So that's gonna be pretty easy. All we're gonna do is add the 2 blemo curves like we always do it. We're gonna jump to the next point. So I saw 17 frames to rotate and to zoom out. So I did add Twixtor on top of my own edit because I wanted to have a more drastic turn. So Z dist and rotate. Since that's all we're gonna be doing, we're gonna assume it's straight to 17. I even want to say 18 because I felt like I saw just a couple frames at the end with no movement. So since that one is dragging longer than just 10 to 7 frames like the other ones, we're gonna make the first as blur more curve. We're gonna make it the values a bit more drastic than just the ones we've been having. So I'm tempted to say 0.75, and we're gonna go with the big -20 because we were in the positive before. We need to be in the negative to continue the movement. And I actually am dauntless enough to put it at 20. Our rotation, the drastic one, I'm gonna think the same way. So I'm gonna drag it at 4, the regular values. And the first ones, so we're gonna try to create that same kind of angle, but on the opposite way. So -40, since the top is kind of a minus, it's at -20, we're gonna just take it down a notch just because we're getting close to that angle that she has and it's already maybe a bit too drastic. And there we go, just round it up. And then when it comes to distance, it's a bit more dragged out. So we're gonna add a bigger value just because, as I said, there's more frames to work on. So instead of -0.3, we're gonna go to -0.2. And then click on fast for both. So as we're gonna see in her edits, the next couple of frames are gonna be a bit particular. So as you can see, I put them out on my own lines. So you have the first movement, the second movement, the third movement, and then it's gonna fade out to just Josh, there you go, and the flickers. All those layers are all normal source alpha. We're gonna start with the zoom first. So from what I can see over here, there's around 12 frames for 3 different footage. And in those 12 frames, there's around 8 frames of visual for each alone until there's 4 frames of a fade. And those 8 to 9 frames that we're gonna see, there's that zoom and that movement. We're gonna animate Shift Z and Z dist. Shift Z, Shift X, my bad. Are gonna drag it out to 8 frames. Like so, and it starts to zoom in from, I don't want a mistake, from the left, sweet potatoes. So my trick when I do zoom from sides or from up and down, for every 100 that you move with your Z dist, you're gonna have to move 0.5 with Shift X. Actually, maybe I might just up it up a little bit because I know it's drastic, but we might not be able to see it. And then we're gonna do a quick zoom right here, so 3 frames in, and we really want to focus on this place particularly. For Z dist, we're gonna go 0.3. Aha, there it is. So 0.350, that should be perfect. Gonna animate it fast as usual. So we already have the zoom. Now we just need to have that cool effect of like transformation. So we're gonna go right ahead and wrap transform. So I see maybe a bit of shear. So it looks like it's coming from kind of the right to the left. I don't know if you know what I mean. So we're gonna click on the shear Y and animate that bad boy. And it's very quick. So at this point, I don't even think I want to add, how do you call this, a boost. So we're just gonna go right ahead and drag the 0 value at 10, because I think it drags out a little bit. So yeah, that seems nice. We're gonna put it at fast. Cool, so we did one. Now we have to make the other one. And if you're like me and you don't like doing stuff all over again, you want to do the smart option. You're gonna go on plugin chain, take yourself a folder. Mine is the filter packages that I take. I don't know, when I clicked on it, it was empty. So just click save as and be like, hey Josh, how are you doing? What's up, my buddy? Okay, I think we got it. So that means that right now this line is saved. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use the event effects right here. Hey Josh, how are you doing? What's up, my buddy? We're gonna add that. Okay, so we currently have the same settings, but you're smart. You're like, yo, Tara, what the hell? It's gonna zoom in from the left just like it did with the other one. No problemo, amigo. Every time Shift X is positive or negative, you do the opposite. So now it's gonna go the opposite way. Look at that. Boom. And then since we did the the shear Y to go with it, you're gonna do the same thing. Instead of being negative, you put a positive, dude. Boom. Just a point like that. I never used the shear, and this is the first time I use it. I'm definitely going to use it in my edits. This is sick. We're going to do the very same thing with the last one. And since that one is going to be zooming from the same one as the other one, we don't even have to change anything. How crazy is that? And as you can see, her part right there where Kyle is with his lightsaber, it's the same thing. It just keeps zooming out from the left. So the top is pretty much done. We might even be nice and drag it out just because we're cool and we're aesthetic. Let's drag it out to 12. And since we're dragging it out, you guys, drag out the one below as well. Instead of being like 3, put it at 4. And if you want to be bougie, you can even add some extra values, but I kind of don't want to do that. Let's just drag it out to make it longer. And then here, it's zooming out again. So I'm tempted to just go, hey Josh, how are you doing? And just remove that bad boy or just uncheck it. And then since the zoom lasts just a little longer, I see movement for a while, so 12. And I want to actually add some extra value because I do want it to look a bit more intense. So we added 0.5 here, so use smart cookie. You're gonna know that means it's 0.25 because that's half a value. So that's why I like Sony Vegas, makes you do math and stuff. So cool, thanks, yay. I like it actually, by the way. There we go, so we put them apart and it zooms out. My roommates are back in the place, so if they make noise, I'm sorry. So there's a quick fade in for 4 frames over here as it zooms out. So we're gonna do 4 frames, right click, and we're gonna do the top. You always want the fades to be quick. I see 12 frames to zoom out. I'll take off the fade just to see what we're doing. So we're gonna do like 8.5 for a kind of fade, or even 8, I feel like that's pretty good. 3 frames in, 0. And then what would it be to focus on the pillar? Yeah, around 3. Yeah, so I feel like that makes sense. And then right here, there's kind of like this scratchy effect. So since I'm not sure exactly what it is, man, we're gonna go with my trusty one. So I really like that one. You reset to none. So those are basically the effect that I used. This is what it would look like reset to none, I think. So we're gonna use the line sync to work with that. Where it's supposed to be scratchy, 3 frames before that, we're gonna make the 0 value. And then where the scratch is, we're gonna take it to like 0.7, make that point fast, the first one slow over here. And then I think the scratch, I don't know how long it lasts. around 6 frames. So I would put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I think it could use maybe a little longer. I'm adding 3 frames just because I feel like it's a bit too sudden and the curve goes real fast. So what I did over here is that for Twixtor, the speed is at 40 for all the beginning. Where the speed goes at 150, so kind of like 1.5 speed up. It's lasting for 2 frames. And then I have around 8 frames for it to go back to 40. And when you're using Twixtor, you can't have the same value twice, which is something I learned from my friend. So that's why you're gonna see 150 here and 150.1. And then since here it's 40, it's 40.2, whatever. You can just put it doesn't change anything when you put a value after the point, literally. So when he does that, there's a kind of a zoom in. So we're gonna do that right here. I kind of want to put the scratch before the zoom. So drag the TV simulator. Twixtor, by the way, always has to be first or else your effects are gonna look really weird. We're gonna take the same S-blur marker we've been using where it starts to zoom, add a keyframe, and we're gonna do the same technique as we've done before. I see around 8 frames to zoom in. I'm gonna put it at around 0.8 because I feel like that's how much there's of difference. Keep that linear. 3 frames I feel of difference between the last one. Add a keyframe. Drag it 2 frames after the first one over here. Make that one fast. So we're gonna change the 0.8 towards a 0.7 maybe. Or actually let's use the same technique we've been using. So 3 frames, add a key. Drag it 2 frames after the first one, fast. And then it rotates to the right and zooms out. So we're gonna do the same thing we've done earlier, but with the different values. So since we do have a Z-disc already used and we wanna make the rotation a bit longer, we're gonna add a 3rd one to this. And you want to put it before the boosting one, so right in the middle of the ones you already have. So we're gonna do, since the first zoom ends kind of here, we're gonna drag our 0 keys maybe like 2 or 3 frames before it completely ends, because as we all know, when you make the slow or fast curve, the curve is very drastic. So we're gonna make it zoom out 1.2 and rotate towards the right, so that means a minus. So we're gonna make it minus like 12. And then below, we're gonna animate the rotate for the quick effect and add a 0 keyframe 3 frames in, or 3 frames before the end, and make them slow. So this one we're gonna try to make it replicate kind of the same distance. So I'm gonna try with 1.7, and that rotation, I feel like the angle is like something like this. Maybe even 45, let's try it like that. So right here, in this one, we can see that there's kind of like a wavy effect. So I think this is just a regular wave effect that's added on top. I think there's around maybe 12 frames to zoom out and rotate. And that would make sense because it would be around the halfway point. So we're gonna try to keep our values the same as we've been having them so far. 15, and then our boosting, drag it 3 frames after, and the first frames are gonna make it 0.3. And the rotating minus 45, 45, because we were at minus before. And make those fast. And then as soon as it's going to be done, we're going to make it zoom out. So that means the Z-disc that we've been doing, this point at the middle of the 12, we're going to make it slow and make that one zoom out as well, 1.2, and do the same for the boosting, 3 frames before, keyframe, slow, and 1.7. I can't really explain the logic I have when it comes to the numbers, but I'm trying to go logically with what I see and what would be more powerful or not. Cool, and now all we're missing is that wavy effect. I usually use the warp wave 2, 1.5, 1.5, and let's actually make them the same value as well. What'd I do? 1.5, love it. There you go. So 1.6 and there you go. I might even drag them out a bit longer just so that they're fading a bit better. So fast, and yeah, I feel like 2 frames later would be nice. The next frame is not too hard. So I see around 8 to 9 frames of fade. So almost all of it that we're gonna do as subtly as possible. And it's just a small zoom. And I feel like it's around 6 frames or so. So we're gonna make this one 1.9. And the other one, we're gonna make it 1.5. I feel like it takes more time to zoom, so that means we're gonna have to drag this one out a bit more. And because we're dragging out this one, we're gonna add a bit more value. So 0.8. Let's move on to the next one. So as I said, this one zooms in. So it goes into the frame and then it goes straight into a zoom out and rotate. We're gonna make it zoom in really quickly. So Z this, that one you're gonna leave at the beginning, make it fast. It's for around 6 or 7 frames. I'm gonna allow myself 8. We're gonna try to add a bit more just so that the curve looks nice. So I'm gonna make it zoom in at 0.9. And then the other boost, I'm gonna make it zoom in. So let's see 0.8. And that looks fair. So let's put it at 3 frames after. So we can just animate the rotate that we already have. Actually, let's add a third one. Rotate and just put it in the middle just because we're gonna have to zoom out, and unfortunately the one we already have is gonna be conflicting. So I see around 10 maybe frames of zooming out and rotating, so maybe around 6 over here. So see how it's gonna connect around 2 frames together. So put it at slow, both of them. And rotating out, we've already done that, so that's not going to be too complicated. We're going to go ahead and put 1.2, make it rotated at 15, and then for the boosting, animate the rotation and the Z dist at the points that we need right here. Just follow that same technique. So since we're at 0.8 now, and I would have put it at 0.7, let's just go ahead and put it at 1.5. And then finishing the rotation with a 45. If you haven't followed my Instagram tutorials, I share all of my shake settings over there. So if you want to go check out that would be cool because you're going to have all of the settings. So right now we're going to use my crazy bounce. Just take the amplitude down to maybe like 0.5. Make it fast the first point and make it maybe 7 frames until it goes back to 0. So our last 3 frames, which should be really easy because right now we're just going to continue with the main theme that has been going on, which is the rotation and the zooms. So you can kind of see a pattern. And also in the editing, the way it's done, it's a bit more harsh and like sudden than what one would expect. So for this part over here, for the zoom and rotate, I see like 8 to 10 frames probably for that. So we're gonna do that right now. So about 10 frames, and then we're gonna make it 0.8 and minus 15. There you go, we're in the negative. And then for our boosting as well, we're going to do the same with 3 frames or so. 0.3 and then like minus 45. I'm believing it's also around 10 frames, so we're going to do about that for the shift Y. So 7 frames, and this is 17 frames in total. And I believe it goes about 0.5 of difference. So we're gonna go minus since it goes down. We're gonna bring it like minus 1. Let's make it 1.5. So we're gonna do just whatever is left with the boost. This one goes up and it blinks. So my best thing that I could suggest you in this case is to copy whatever blink we've had before, control copy, and check where it starts, about here. Paste this. So there's the flicker right here, and we're gonna make it zoom out. So this is about 12 to 14 of difference of shift Y transition. So we're gonna put it at 12 just to be safe. Let's take it to, no, we were at minus before. Let's put it at 200 so this one is a bit longer. We're gonna do the same thing for the boost, put it at 4 instead of 3. And we're gonna bring this one up to 300 because it is kind of a smoother path. So we'll see what it looks like at least. I feel like we could drag the one on top even a bit longer. Let's try to add 17. All right, so let's work on the zoom out. I think it's about the same amount of frames, so we're gonna try to do about the same thing that we've done. I'll drag it at 15 frames, make that one slow. And usually since we do 1.2, we'll bring it at 1.3. Since again, we're working with something a bit longer and smoother, we're gonna bring this one 4 frames before the end. That one's slow. And this one we're gonna be daunting and put it at 2. Just because it is a very fast transition, so we're not even gonna see the 2 value at the end. I think we could even make the first transition, instead of 1.3, we'll make it 1.4, because I feel like the movement is a bit more drastic on hers. There we go. And then we're gonna go on to our final clip, which is a zoom out and another zoom out. There's flickers again, so what do? We do what we've been doing. Paste what we had. You can delete whatever is too much. It zooms out, and you can even see the reflection here, so it zooms out more than just regular. It zooms back in right here because you can't see it anymore, right there. And then it's gonna zoom back out. Around here is where I see the zoom out finish, and then it's gonna start to zoom back in. Actually it zooms back in drastically right here, I feel. So it ends around here at like 1.2 maybe, something like that. And I think it actually stays like this for a couple of frames because I don't see any ghosting or any movement, blur movement. And we'll take this down to 1.9 for our boosting effect. Same thing as usual, 3 frames. We're gonna take this one to 0.3. So it zooms out further, and then it zooms back in to, again, zoom back out. We're gonna have our zoom in back at the original frame. There we go. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to do that one manually. So I'm going to put it at this and fast. So there's going to be a bit of a quicker movement at the beginning. Then it's going to slow down for the end. And then the zoom out would start around here. I'm going to take it 1 frame earlier just because, again, the curve is flattened. And since this one is kind of quick, we're just going to put it at 1.1 for this. And for our boost, 3 frames in, we're just going to put it like 1.3 because or else it's going to look a bit silly and a bit too dramatic. I'll render our project. I'll show you the end result. But so far, we've done frame by frame, which looks pretty amazing. The reason why I would recommend you to render everything is because there is a shake on the whole edit. I'm actually going to keep this one in a separate layer just because her intro is actually very steady. So we're not going to put a shake on that one. Cool, so I came up with a pretty good shake. I'll let you take a look at all of the properties, I guess, of this shake that I'm currently going to use to remake the edit. So those are pretty much the presets for all of them. And we're going to use that on all of the layers of our edits apart from the intro. Just as I mentioned, there's nothing on that one. I'm actually going to add another layer because I forgot we need the borders as well. So we're gonna leave the intro as it is, and we're just gonna add the shake that we just did on all the layers of the edit, and also, yeah, the border. So what I usually do, and I'm just gonna copy whatever square it is, like that. There you go. So I'm gonna line it up. I'm gonna copy that point. We're gonna take a solid color black over here, drag it along whatever edit you have, and then just paste the first point here, add the mask. And now you just have it on top. But rather than doing it at the bottom manually and maybe making a mistake, just, you know, reflection. There you go. Yeah, so far from what we've added, it should match up. I'm gonna render it, I'm gonna put it side by side and let you admire what we've just done. Because we've just done it. Woo! It took literally forever, but we've done it. Yay! So I think the final result looks pretty dang... I don't know, I'm like kind of speechless to how cool it looks. The only thing I guess I would say looks a little iffy is of course the fact that I can have like that TV scratchy effect. And I guess my wavy effect could have been dragged out a bit longer. Apart from those two effects, I guess, that I'm still not sure how to use correctly. I think the transitions are sick. Like, they're really smooth. They really catch up to what she did, and I think they look really cool. So I hope you got to learn something out of this. It was really fun. It was, technically speaking, I know it was a long episode today, but this is much quicker editing than what I'm used to doing, I'll be honest. So this is actually a really quick thing to do as opposed to the stuff that I would usually be doing. So it's pretty cool. Just learn those effects, and yeah, so I hope you learned from this and I hope you had fun. So I'll give it back to Tara from the past.
Thank you guys for watching. Thank you so much. And I hope this was, despite being a long video, I hope you learned something. I personally already learned a lot, and I actually started using a bit of her style in my edits myself, which, oh my god, it's so great. I'm hoping this was helpful. I'm hoping you're excited for the next one. I want to give a special thanks to Alondra for accepting to do that, and to all the others that accepted to do this as well. I feel like this is really helpful for people that might, you know, have of confusion and aren't sure, but you know, we're helping each other out, and I feel like that's what's the important thing. We've done it the first time, yay! Next time I'll see you is for a Q&A book questions. I just said Q&A, so why did I say questions? Thanks for watching one more time. I will see you in the next one. Bye bye. That was fabulous.